Good evening. My name is Gregory Morgan, and I'm very happy to be here and take your calls and to answer your questions about what work in dating, sex, marriage, family relationship. The thing with human beings is our relationship is the water we swim in. And when we're first come into this world, we're wide open, and the world of relationships looks like a huge ocean that we swim in that has no limits. Anything is possible. We're exploring it and pushing against it and finding out what works and what doesn't work, and it's just all open. And as we learn to, depending on our family and our culture and our family's background, we end up having a smaller ocean to swim in. And then later in life, that ocean gets more like a swimming pool or a lake, and then a swimming pool, and then a little cup of water. And pretty soon, the world that we have to express our love, to express our joy, to express our sadness, to play, to discover our nature and who we are, that world gets smaller and smaller as we get older in our lives, because we have little limitations that get put in and that we accept. Either they're imposed by others, sometimes they're imposed by a religion, sometimes they're imposed by a cultural tradition, sometimes these limitations are imposed by our families, and sometimes they're imposed by our own personal limited belief system. We have, many of us, accepted beliefs and traditions that we didn't get to vote on. We didn't get to say how it is. You came into the world, your parents, your culture, your teachers, your religion, they all told you this is how it works around here. And so you got taught the rules. You never got to vote on whether you were going to follow those rules or not, or whether those were acceptable limitations and boundaries for you. They were imposed upon you, and many times at a cost if you didn't pay attention to them. Now, obviously, some rules are really great to follow, but some other rules and some other traditions we follow without thinking for ourselves. And so we become more and more constrained and more limited. And then later, when we want to have a relationship with someone, and that relationship requires that we open our heart, that we open our mind, that we become accepting of somebody who's imperfect, that we learn to love and have compassion for another human being who has their own limitations and their own boundaries and their own things that they're struggling with. When it comes to that, then we find ourselves very constrained and very much limited in our ability to have a fully satisfying and fulfilling relationship with another human being. So I'm fully aware of that. I've had my own constraints in my own life and my own limits that I've had to explore and overcome in order to live fully expressed as me. And I don't want you to be like me, and I don't want to be like you. My purpose in being on this show is to share with you my experience. My experience doesn't make something right. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it the truth. It doesn't make it bad or limited. It simply is my experience, and my experience I'm going to tell you what I have found works. I've been down a lot of roads, and I've been in a lot of relationships, and I've been somebody who's had to overcome some personal limitations just to be able to relate normally to other human beings. And so now I have I can proudly say that I have a wonderful relationship with my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan, that we're very much in love, and that we are constantly exploring what works and doesn't work in relationships. So really, I'm here to share with you what works and doesn't work from my experience. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, throw it away, okay? I'm going to go ahead and take some phone calls. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Hello, Mr. Morgan.
Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm fine. But, Mr. Morgan,
yes,
I've got a general question. I think I know, I have learned from you what type of people do they use the abusive language in a family, in a relation. Probably those are people who are continuing a cycle of abuse. But I have got a question from you in regarding to the public relation. Who do you think, what type of people sit in front of camera and use the abusive language? What do you think this kind of people are? I mean, where this come from. I mean, I've seen people that they use this type of language in the family and a bit are ashamed to use it in the public. Suppose
What
when
are
have
you
guests
calling
at
abusive
home,
language?
They change character, they become a little bit...
What are you calling abusive language? There's language that you like, and there's language that you don't like. There's language that I like, and there's language that I don't like. And none of that, whether I like it or not, or whether you like it or not, makes it abusive. So I want to know what you call abusive. What do you call abusive?
I come online and I tell you, I think what you're doing here is wrong, and you judge me straight away, and you cut me off, and you judge me, you call me names, you say where I come from.
Did you say that I did that?
No, supposedly, no, you're such a nice person. No, I'm saying support, it is just an example.
Today, in the modern world, people throw this word abusive around a lot, and so sometimes what may be a necessary action, some people may call abusive, and then other people may abuse that action. You know, if I smack a kid and say on the butt and say, hey, you got to straighten up and stop doing that, that's one thing. You could call it abusive or not. You know, it's up in the air. But I'm not saying either way. But that's different than somebody who intends to harm someone, right?
Yes.
So you're calling about somebody who had a television show or something. I don't know what you're really calling about, but that used abusive language. And so I'm trying to figure out what is abusive language.
Okay, that's what I call you. I call a person and I say what I think what he is doing or what he is saying is wrong. I don't believe in that, and cut me off.
Right.
And then call me, I'm sorry. Use the word whore. You are a whore. Your husband is this. Without knowing me, I mean, without anything. Just because I have got a political opinion, I am against what he is saying. What do you think this kind of people, why are they doing so? Do they want to destroy my ego?
No,
so that
they're
I
just...
don't call them again and I
I got
tell them
it.
I think what you're saying is not right to my opinion. What kind of people are this? That is, I can't understand. How come somebody
Listen, I can almost understand somebody wanting to cut you off because you don't have a conversation. You just kind of keep talking, and so it's hard to talk to you. So I keep trying to be polite and not cut you off, but it's kind of hard, okay? So just a lesson from me to you, since you called and asked something.
Yes.
You want to talk, keep it short, and then listen, especially when you're talking to somebody who's on television who has a responsibility to not let somebody just go on and on and on. Do you understand?
Yes.
So you want to talk and then listen, but you want to ask your questions succinctly and elegantly, and then let them respond. Okay? So I asked you what you thought was abusive. You told me, and I happen to agree with you, that for him to call you up and call you terrible names that are demeaning or that undermine your dignity, your nobility, your prestige in the world by calling you a dirty name, yeah, I would say that was abusive. I would agree with you there. Okay? Now, the kind of people that do that, I'm going to tell you, they feel powerless. They feel weak. People who feel powerless use force. I'm going to say that again because most people don't know the difference between power, which never has to use force, and force, which is only used by the powerless. Power, true power, you don't have to use it. It uses you. Power will use your life if you allow it to, and it will always be for the good of better. Do you understand? True power always comes through you as an expression, and it's usually a loving expression, although sometimes it is ruthless. Do you understand?
Yes.
I have the ability to be both ruthless, very hard on somebody, all the time I'm loving them, so that I can teach them, so that I can help them. I only do that with people that ask me to, all right? I don't just go around doing that with people because not everybody wants my help, right?
Yes.
It's none of my business to go around helping everybody. But if somebody asks for my help and then I see that what they need is somebody to be tough with them, then I don't mind doing that. Yeah, but I'm not running for public office. I'm not trying to get them to like me. I'm trying to help them. So there is ruthless compassion, and that is powerful. That is an expression of power. When you don't have any power, any personal power, and you feel weak, it is often those people who will resort to force, a kind of meanness, like the one you were telling me about. Can you get that?
That's it.
I will give you 3 words that will help you when somebody's doing that. All right? You should write this down because this will save you. It's not about you. Is that 4 words? It's not about you. 4 words.
Yes.
The one that's yelling and calling you names and all that, guess what? He was upset before you ever came. He felt weak before you ever got there. He felt threatened before you ever spoke. Right? Is that true? Does that sound true to you? That's why you were laughing, because that was the laugh of recognition. You recognized that there was truth in what I said. That's why you kind of laughed. Yeah, he felt weak before you ever got there. That's why he had to try to regain his sense of power by dominating. The weak always have to dominate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
And me, I have to be far from this kind of people, because you can never change them or correct them. Just get away so that I don't get hurt. Though that I didn't. I mean, I just had a question, why this?
Well,
but I just have to get far from this kind of people.
Well, and there's probably something in you that would like to correct what you see might be wrong or out of balance. You've probably called somebody who you felt like was saying something that was wrong. And maybe you were trying to correct them. And listen, correcting somebody when they're live on the air, I may look like I'm relaxed, and for the most part I am, but it makes you nervous to get in front of a camera and have the whole world look at you and listen to what you say.
Yes.
It makes you nervous. So if somebody gets on the phone and starts arguing with you or undermining you or something, the truth is, I don't have to listen if I don't want to. Right? I try to keep an open mind and listen to people's opinions and stuff. I just also try to keep it on track that the purpose of the show is so that we can help people here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Did that help you?
Very much.
Great. It's not about you. Whatever he said, it's not about you. He's talking about his mother or something.
Yes, that's right.
Somebody that hurt him before you ever got here.
That's right.
Okay, it's good to remember, huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
God bless.
God bless you too. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I'm going to go ahead and just keep taking calls. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello, hi. Doctor, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm living with a guy, it's about 10 years now, and
Okay.
we love each other very much.
All right.
But I have a problem. You know, my daughter, she's 26, and she got her master's degree, and she's living with her boyfriend. And unfortunately, right now, she's working for my partner. And they have some problem. I mean, my daughter doesn't, but he does. And he come and telling me about it. Like, I don't know what the problem is. I just feel that it's kind of, I don't know, because he has a little girl too. She's 14. And I don't see her at all. But because I think my daughter achieves so much. And I feel kind of jealousy here. I don't know. And
You feel jealousy? Okay, wait. You've covered like 4 subjects, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to address at least 3 of them. Okay?
Yes.
Because I can tell there's a lot more. All right? That your daughter is working for a man that you've been living with for 10 years, and I take it that you're not married?
That's right.
Okay. And so he's got a child from another marriage.
Yes.
And does he own the business?
He does.
All right. And so she's your daughter, who has a master's degree in what?
In international economics.
Okay. And does that apply to the business that she's working in?
No, actually, no.
So she's working under her her expertise. In other words, she's not an expert at her job.
Actually, she is kind of, because she got her real estate license as well, and she's working in that area right now.
Well, anybody that's in real estate right now, are you in the United States?
No, I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. Well, it's a little better over there, I'm sure. But anybody that's in real estate is kind of feeling the pain right now, I would think.
I know.
Right?
No, actually, it's not about the work, because he doesn't tell me that she doesn't do her job well or anything like that. But anything happens, he blames her and tell me not to tell her.
Okay, so don't do that.
I won't, but
Great.
It hurts me.
So, but wait, you asked me about this, so let me give you the feedback, okay? She's an adult and he's an adult, and their only common interest is two. One, she works for him, he pays her money.
Yes.
So he's the boss. She needs to do whatever he says.
That's right.
Period. If she's being resistant and giving him trouble, either, would she do that if it was some other person that she was working for that's not connected to you? That's a question, right?
Yes.
She may feel that she has certain privileges because of your relationship with her boss, right?
Right.
And she may be overstepping certain boundaries that she would not be overstepping if she were working for somebody else, which she may be doing pretty soon if she doesn't straighten up, right? He's the
Actually,
boss,
it's
period.
not,
He's the boss.
I know that she does everything, even overdoing everything for him. Working overtime, whatever he says, even if it's
Okay,
not.
so what's the problem?
I don't know what's the problem. That's why he
Is she a good employee?
Pardon me?
Is she a good employee?
She is. She is. Actually, she was working some other place, and he begs her to come and work with her.
Okay, so that answers a whole lot of questions for me. So he's the one that wants her to work there.
That's right.
Okay, fine. So then are you ready?
Yeah.
This is what you need to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Your work relationship with my daughter is yours and yours alone. Keep me out of it.
I told him that.
I don't want to be involved. And if you tell me something, do not tell me something and tell me don't tell her. I will not be, that's called a conspiracy, okay?
Right.
That's called a triangulation. Do you understand me?
Yes.
I want to explain triangles a little bit to people because not everybody understands it.
Oh, I know.
In triangles, there's always three. There's always a persecutor. That's a person that's doing something bad.
Right.
There's always a victim. That's somebody who's being hurt by the persecutor.
Right.
And then there's always a savior, the one who's supposed to save the victim from the persecutor.
Right.
And this triangle works like that, okay?
That's right.
Now, you never want to be in any of those positions, right?
That's true.
You don't want to be the savior, you don't want to be the victim, and you don't want to be the persecutor.
Exactly.
There's not a good position in a triangle, okay? There's no good positions. Everybody is being diminished to a lower standard of who they really are.
Right.
Can you understand that? In a binary relationship, meaning one-on-one, right, we have a chance to be fully expressed. So, for example, as your husband, he's your husband if you've been living together for 10 years, right? He's like, you're not living with anybody else, and he isn't either, right? So anyhow, between you and your partner, there's a particular relationship, and it's a delicate relationship because it involves love, it involves finances, it involves children, it involves real estate, it involves sex, it involves a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a spiritual bond. Your job is to maintain that.
That's right. That's
right?
why now I feel kind of...
So if something else starts pulling on that, your job is to make sure that that doesn't happen, right?
That's true.
Right? Your job is to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, your daughter, who's 27 years old and has a master's degree and a job,
Right.
right? That's her business.
Yes.
If her boss is not happy with her, she better go fix that, right? It's nothing to do with you, right? If she was working for some other person down the street, that guy isn't going to call you up and say, hey, your daughter's acting, I'm not happy with her. Don't tell her though, right?
That's right.
That would be weird. So you need to treat that relationship with its own boundaries. Say, look, the work thing between you and her, these two people, has nothing to do with me,
Okay.
right? Just keep me out of it. My relationship with you, Mr. Boss here, is I love you, I'm your partner, I sleep with you, we eat together, we're spending our life together, and that's the way it is. Keep me out of this work thing, okay? And you got to be strong about that.
Yes, it's hard.
Okay,
but
and you got to tell him, I will not keep secrets from my daughter, period.
good. Yeah.
Right? No secrets. In my household, there's no secrets because secrets are kind of like little rat poison, okay?
Right.
In your food, okay? It's a little poison in your relationship, in your food. And you know, how much poison do you want in your food? I don't want any,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people put these little lies into their relationship, and it's like sprinkling a little poison in the food. Oh, it's just a little,
Yeah.
right? I don't want any in mine.
That's-
So between my wife and I, it's like no lies, right? No lies.
That's right.
Okay? No withholding the truth.
Yeah.
And that way, you know, that's all you can do about it, right?
That's right.
That's what you can do about it. Now, if he called me, I would have slightly different coaching for him, but basically I would say deal with your employees
Yeah.
and deal with your wife.
Exactly.
Right.
No, I don't
keep it
have
clean.
any problem. Even if he said she cannot work there anymore. I just tired of these things, you know, just telling me and tell me not to tell her.
Yeah,
but I will tell him that I will tell her.
Yeah, it's over. He's just overstepping a boundary, and he's asking for something that you ought not to be giving. The reason you're calling me and the reason you feel uncomfortable about it is because it's out of balance. It's over a boundary. You understand?
That's true.
It's like somebody has put, I don't know, it's like somebody has put something on your plate. You're like, wait a minute, I don't want to eat that, right? Right? You don't want that. So you just need to say thank you very much, but that's not for me.
Sure. Thank
Yeah.
you, doctor, very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Hi. Actually, 2 years ago, they diagnosed me bipolar. And, do you have any suggestion or advice for me?
Okay, well, what's your experience of being bipolar? Are you?
I'm sorry?
Are you bipolar?
Uh-huh. They
Oh.
diagnosed, I don't know if they are right or no, but this is what doctor said.
Well, what is my question for you is, what is your experience of that? In other words, do you experience being extremely happy and then very, very sad at both ends of the spectrum, and that goes sharply like this all the time?
Yeah, I had a strange feeling in my heart and my brain, and suddenly I thought I'm an important person. I supposed to make something important in politics. Do
Okay.
something important in politics about...
Well, there's a lot of people who are in charge of the world that think that. So, you know. Do you have a question for me?
I mean, if I'm bipolar, do you have any suggestion or advice for me?
No, follow your doctor's advice. Do you have a doctor?
I'm on medication, yes. Monthly, he checked me, and I'm on medication. And I'm a lot better, and I think at that time what I had, it was hallucinate. I hallucinate at the time.
Yeah.
Now I think about the time I hallucinate at the time.
Okay, great. Listen, if you're hallucinating and your doctor says that you're bipolar and has you on medication, then follow your doctor's advice. Okay?
Okay.
Follow your doctor's advice.
Anyway, you helped me.
Listen, I have one piece of advice for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Bipolar is hereditary and is passed on to children. Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
Well, take good care of them.
I try my best.
Okay. It doesn't necessarily...
You think genetically I pass by them?
Pardon me?
You think genetically it passed to them?
Yes. It doesn't have to. It doesn't necessarily have to, but in other words, I'm going to say it like this. People who are bipolar inherited it. But that doesn't mean that everybody who is born to a bipolar parent will inherit it. In other words, it's not 100%. Do you understand?
Yes, I got
Okay,
you
just
totally,
because
but,
you're bipolar...
Can you please make it clear for me? What do you mean exactly what you mean I take care of my children better, good?
Just take good care of them so that they don't get in trouble, okay?
Okay,
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
I'm calling from Tehran.
You are? Well, I'm honored that you're staying up late and watching my show. Thank you.
Yes, whenever I see your programs, I get positive signals from you, and I like your programs, your shows.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anything that I can do for you?
Nothing much important, but I had a question.
Okay.
If you could answer me. I'm about 29 years old.
Okay.
Up to now, I had relationship with lots of girls.
Okay.
And right at the moment, I'm worried about my future. Because I think that I cannot be able to have a long-term relationship with a girl or a woman who is going to be my wife. Okay.
Now, I'm going to ask you a very direct question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but it's going to move us right along. Is it because you're more interested in men?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Your sexual preference is women. Is that correct? Is that what you're telling me?
I cannot have long-term relationship.
Well, when somebody tells me that and they emphasize that it means with a woman, I'm naturally going to ask you, why do you think that?
Because I experienced that, when I get friends with a girl, after 6 or 7 months, I don't have the interest to continue my relationship with her.
Okay, well, that doesn't mean anything. I don't think that at the age 29 that I was ready to have a long-term committed relationship either, although I tried to a few times. I wasn't very successful at it. I failed at it a lot. And, you could say, well, I didn't have the right girl or something, but it's just because I hadn't reached a kind of maturity in which I could continue to generate myself. In other words, do you know what I mean when I say to generate myself? In other words, with nothing, to make something. In other words, when I'm bored, make myself be interested. When I'm interested in the girl down the street, make myself stay interested in the woman that I'm with. When I'm sad, make myself be happy. In other words, that takes a certain skill, a certain level of maturity, and not everybody has that, and I don't think you should be hard on yourself if you don't have it at 29. Who would have taught you to do that?
Well, you think that I'm not mature enough for getting laid, for marrying?
Well, marriage is a learned skill. It takes skill. And most men do not have this skill. They have to learn it. And there's no one around to teach it. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm teaching it. I'm teaching it in a workshop that I'm doing called Men of Honor Workshop that I'm doing in September. I'm going to be doing a workshop in which I'm actually going to be teaching men the disciplines and the skills to actually enjoy their life, be the man that they want to be, not the man that their wife wants them to be, or the world wants them to be, or society wants them to be, but to be the man they want to be the man you want to be, and to have the ability, and that means discipline and the intelligence and the insight to be able to be yourself and be happy about that in the face of anything that your wife could come up with, anything that your girlfriend could come up with, anything that the world could come up with. You keep being the same and being happy about that. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean not changing, I mean constantly growing. I don't mean like I'm going to be the same and nobody can change me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being interested enough in your life, in the world, in your relationship, in people, to be able to adapt and change, always staying true to yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a particular talent. Would you agree? Not everybody can do that. Yeah, so when I say maturity, I'm not saying that you're immature. I'm saying that it takes a certain level of development before you're ready or willing or able to take that on like a task. But I will say one more thing. Nothing will get you ready for being married. Nothing. Only Being married gets you ready for being married. Nobody gets ready for being married, right? You get married and then you get ready. That's how it is. For men, I'm not talking about for women. Women can be ready to be married by the time they're ready to have a child, by the time they're mature enough to want to have a child, they're ready to be married. They kind of come together for women, right? But for men, it's very different. For men, it's very different. We have to feel like we're finished with having short relationships. We're just done with that. And we have to feel like we're successful in our life, that we've like sort of accomplished a few things and we feel good about ourselves. And we have to feel like we're ready to spend our life with someone and that we're willing to give up whatever we need to give up in order to be able to have that. But there's one thing you must never give up, and that is your own value and yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So it takes a while. You know, if you plant an apple tree, like an apple tree in your backyard, it doesn't necessarily give you apples right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while. And when it gets grown up enough and mature enough, it starts making big, fat, beautiful fruit, apples or whatever you're planting, right? But not right away, not as soon as you plant it. It takes a certain distance in time. And the same is true for men and women, that we need to grow to a certain place of maturity, and then what we're putting out to the world has some balance and makes some sense, and right? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that helped you. I mean, don't worry about it. If you're not ready to have a long-term relationship, wait or stick around. Develop yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Learn things. Keep yourself in good physical condition. You know, work out. Be healthy in all the aspects of your life. You develop your mind and your spirit and your heart, you're going to one day find yourself wanting to share your life with someone. And then whatever obstacles that come up, like I get bored or whatever, that's just, you get bored because you start being boring. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
People who get bored are boring people.
Right, thank you. So I should not be worried about this problem that short-term relationships may affect my future, right?
No. Now, if you were 45 years old and you were calling me asking me this, I'd have a different answer for you, right? But you're 29 years old.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it's kind of time for you to start looking at your future, but I wouldn't worry about it just yet, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for calling all the way from Iran. I'm very honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
All
Thank
right.
you for your good program and for your good advice.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
I'm very happy to be on the air. I'm calling from Iran.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
The other guy was calling from Iran too, so it's good to know that there are people awake at midnight watching the show.
Somebody called with bipolar disease.
Yes.
And you advised him to follow his own doctor's
That's correct.
advice, and the guy was on medication.
It was a woman, but yes.
My question is, why your wife always says doesn't believe in pills? There are some kind of diseases. I think there is no other way except pills.
Well,
Why?
I happen to agree with you there, although it's important to make a very subtle distinction here, because you've brought it up, and it's a valid point. Okay, it's a very you're very astute in having observed and noticed the difference. Okay, and if you've been watching my show, you'll see that both Azita and I are very much against any kind of drugs that alter your mind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the very simple reason that your hypothalamus, okay, the mind, the brains, okay, in the stem of the brain there's a hypothalamus, and that thing is the most complex drugstore on the planet. It can make any drug that your body needs. Do you understand? It is very, very, very advanced, and when there's an out of balance in your body, it can make a drug that will balance your body quite naturally. Okay, and Most people who are extremely out of balance, sometimes they need some help to get back in balance, but then we want them to drop the help. In other words, if you hurt your leg, you might need to walk with the crutch for a while, but you don't want to walk with it for the rest of your life, right? There's a time you got to put that away so your leg can get strong again. Do you understand the difference?
What I reckon is that you're saying that sometimes for a short time it's necessary to take drugs?
It might be, yes. If somebody's had, a lot of times somebody has an extreme trauma or something, extremely upsetting can happen to them. And, I always recommend that there's so many ways to heal that without drugs. That is so much more important because it calls upon your body's strength. In other words, when something happens to your body or your mind or your spirit or your emotional state that's like a blow, if you take a medicine to pull away the pain, then you don't get stronger necessarily. If you can deal with the pain, emotional, mental, spiritual pain, then you as a being become stronger in your core. Your who you are becomes stronger all the way around, you see? By dealing with the difficulties in life, it makes us strong. If we don't deal with the difficulties in life and we keep putting Band-Aids on it and we keep putting drugs on it to numb our feelings so that we can't feel our emotional pain, our mental pain, our spiritual pain, our physical pain, if we numb ourselves with drugs, then we don't get stronger. And guess what happens? More trauma comes.
Can I say a word?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
First, if I'm mistaken, please correct me. There are some diseases that they are biological, and for example, your serotonin in your mind is not enough. So you need some pills to make it more. Don't you agree with me?
No. No, I don't. There are limitations because people believe there are limitations. Now, I realize that is a very radical idea that I just said, okay? But if you think this through, which I have spent a lifetime doing, okay, I think you will come to the conclusion that there is even what we call matter, physical matter, this chair, this cup, okay, is made up of atoms, and no one's ever seen an atom because it is pure energy. It's pure energy. It's mostly empty space, and that empty space is susceptible to, and in fact made up of, pure energy, thought. Thought, okay? Your thoughts and your beliefs literally affect physical matter, or what you call physical matter, because it is made up of the same energy that your thoughts are made of. So if you believe that there is a limitation, then guess what? There is. If you believe that there is no limitation and that you are whole and complete, then guess what starts happening in the physical world, literally in your body? Now you're talking to somebody who has literally healed my own broken bones, torn ligaments, a medial meniscus in my knee that was completely ripped apart and blown apart. No surgery, nothing. I completely healed it with thought.
I've heard of this theory
now,
that...
I'm not the only one that have done things like this, and
everything without help from the other substances, and that can heal itself.
I've been in motorcycle accidents, car accidents. I've been a martial artist for like 20 years, and so I've been hit and beaten and broken and thrown and crunched and every kind of thing you can think of, and I heal my own body with my thought, okay? The only time I've ever gone to doctors is when I needed something to get sewn up or something like that, okay? But other than that, you can heal anything in your own body. So obviously, if somebody's extremely mentally out of balance, right? A bipolar situation or schizophrenic, that is somebody who actually doesn't quite have a firm grasp on reality. Do you understand?
Yes.
And their ability to function in a normal world so as not to hurt themselves and others and generally cause a bunch of panic and be harmful to themselves and others, sometimes they need some help kind of just staying normal so that they can function. But if they become dependent on that rather than working on themselves, then they'll spend their life that way. But there are people who get extremely out of balance, maybe with a little help from drugs or not, manage to pull their life together and become strong because of the experience. I'm one of those people. I don't think I was bipolar, but I've been extremely depressed. I've been extremely angry and upset. I've been every possible extreme emotionally that you can imagine, and I've gone to the edge of it to where I thought if I go any further, I'll be irrevocably insane. Okay? But I felt that it was my business to pull my life together, and so that's the reason I'm here, is because wherever you've been, I've probably been there too. And
I don't have my answer exactly, so
yeah.
I use the other way around. And I'm going to say that somebody with a strong depression,
yes,
somebody has a strong depression for any reason, but sometimes, as you said, bipolar, it passes on from parents to children.
Yes.
And for example, obsession that you explained
yes.
last time, I
right.
think, obsessive compulsive or bipolar person.
Yes.
Most of them are proven to be genetic.
Well, no, I will argue with you there.
I believe that
it's not been proven.
you need some drugs.
It's not necessarily proven. There's strong indication, but there's no concrete proof. There's only strong tendencies, but no concrete proof that bipolar is genetic. There's a strong indication that it is hereditary, though, and can be passed on one to the other. But go back to the discussion we just had. If you were raised by a bipolar parent, you might tend to be that way yourself, because children, before they have language, before they understand word, they understand what's going on in the heart and mind and emotional state of their parent. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree with you. But
Our first understanding, our most fundamental understanding, that's how come we can recognize the expression on a face. We look at the face and we understand a whole world of things that can't be said in words. And we can do that from almost the time we're born, like it's almost immediately we can start to understand what's going on with another person by looking at them. That's how we survive. That's how we learn language. That's how we learn to walk and talk and survive in the world, is by looking at other people and figuring out what's going on with them, whether it's safe, whether it's dangerous, whether it's happy, whether it's scary. We're able to perceive that even as tiny little children. So my question is this, and nobody knows, I don't think you know the answer and I don't either, but it's a good question to ask. Is that genetic, or did the person pick up on their parents' emotional state and start to model it and copy it, and it became their own emotional state? Interesting question to delve into. Nobody, as far as I know, has ever done any concrete research on that. It would be pretty hard to measure and to track, right?
Yes. Gregory, I've been following your programs. I am very happy. Somebody, for any reason, has got a strong depression.
Yes.
Any reason, a therapist can help him to be completely away from this disease.
Not just any therapist, but some therapists can, yes.
So therapy can help even all kinds of mental problems?
Absolutely. But if it's just talk, no, talking doesn't necessarily handle everything. There's a lot of things that, because talking is only one of the ways that we understand things, and it's a good one, but it's limited. Mm-hmm. It is limited.
I mean, by implying the practical way on the patient.
Well, what I hear, I tend to forget. What I see, I tend to remember, and what I do, I learn, right? So you can talk to somebody and you can demonstrate for somebody and they can see you and hear you, but until they actually do certain practices, they won't learn them. How you know that you've learned something, you, me, everybody, right? How you know that you've learned something is that you're doing it. You've learned how to drive a car, right? And how you know is that you get in your car and you drive it. That's how you know you learned it. But if I just showed you driving, talked about driving, said this is how you do it, and you do this and you do that, and you sort of practice sitting there in your chair driving, you wouldn't know if you knew how to drive or not, right? You don't know if you know how to drive until you're on the street and there's cars coming at you. So the same thing in therapy. A lot of people think that therapy is sitting around talking to somebody and getting heard and talking and listening and like that. That's a kind of therapy, but that's not the kind of therapy that I do or that my wife does. We do a kind of interactive therapy where the person needs to take action in their life, and they either do it or they don't. If they do it, their life will change. I guarantee that. It works every time. If they don't do it, their life won't change. They'll just keep coming to therapy, and eventually they'll drop out and say, I went to therapy, but it didn't work. Because they didn't follow the instructions. They didn't do the therapy. They just wanted to do the talk part. Do you understand?
Yes, but my next question is, can it be done by telecommuting, I think, without being in person in Los Angeles?
Well, I have worked with clients mostly by phone. 90% of the people are by phone. All of my clients have gotten results. I've had one client that refused to do anything that I asked her to do, and I told her, I'm not going to work with you anymore. She kept coming back to therapy, and I'd say, did you do this? Did you do that? Well, no, I was thinking maybe. So I said, don't waste my time. I don't need your money. I don't need your, you know what I mean? You need to change your life, and when you're through with your suffering and you've suffered enough, you need to go out and suffer some more. And when you're done suffering, then come, and then maybe you'll be ready to listen to what I have to tell you. But right now, just talking, it doesn't do anything. So yes, if the person is really willing to do what it is that it takes to change their life, yes, absolutely. Working with us by phone works.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Gregory.
I appreciate your questions. They're very well thought out. They're very astute, and I can understand that you are somebody who really thinks about these things. So I appreciate that too. It's always fun to talk with somebody who's thinking.
You're answering because you opened lots of questions for me again to study and to find out. Thank you very much, very, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That's great. There's some films that are on there's one particular that I discovered on YouTube, and for those of you who are interested and who have a computer and who like to go on YouTube, I have a YouTube account. It's called Trainer749. You're welcome to go and look at some videos that I have on there, and I have some videos on there of myself and Dr. Sayan and some various discussions that we've had. There's one on addictive love. There's another that's on a father's love. It's the difference between many times when people are having trouble with their father. A lot of women have trouble with their fathers. It's because they want their father to be a better mother, and he's not designed that way. And then there's another one that gets a lot of people seem to like this one, called The Art of Listening. And it's about how the person who's actually listening in a relationship, if you can master listening, you can master communication. You can control, not control a conversation, but you can make you can cause the conversation to move forward so that it reaches a resolution, so that your arguments, instead of going around and around in a circle, will actually move forward because you're listening and then actually responding to what's being said. Responsibility simply means the ability to respond. And the ability to respond means that you have taken in and considered what's being said. So a lot of times we get in arguments, we get in conversations with people, and both people are talking and neither one is listening. You got two people talking, nobody listening, that's an argument. One person talking, another listening, that person talking, then the other one listening, that's a conversation. And a conversation can get stuck, or it can move forward and actually come to a resolution so that there's a peaceful, satisfying resolution. If you're in an argument with somebody that's going on and on and on in your relationships, in your life, with your husband or wife or daughter or son or parents, and it never seems to get resolved, and it never goes away, it keeps being there. If it's there more than an hour, then you're not listening. The purpose of a conversation, in other words, a negotiation, is so that both parties have their needs fulfilled. And we all have certain needs. Some of them are reasonable and some of them are unreasonable. But it doesn't matter whether they're reasonable or not. What matters is that you get your needs fulfilled, and in a negotiation, most often how you get your needs fulfilled is by helping the other person to have their needs fulfilled. That requires listening. That requires talking, saying your point of view, and then listening. I'm going to take one more call before I go. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi. Thank you again for your talk show, and it's really helping lots of people.
Thank you very much.
Such as myself. I wanted to ask you a question about my daughter. She's 17.
Okay.
She's born and raised here in U.S.
Yes.
She's a good girl. I mean, she's an honor
Okay.
student. If you, as far as the other teenagers that they are in teenager, the hormones is affecting their life. I don't see it that much in her, but some of the problem that I have with her, which I don't know, is it myself, is it from me, or is it
Okay.
her, and how can I approach it? It's like, for instance, going to a school.
Yes.
If she's supposed to be at the school 7:30,
Yes.
she's coming out of the house to get into the school, so it takes 10 minutes to get. But she's
So
coming
she's being late.
22, yeah, exactly. She's going to be either on time or she's going to be 2-3 minutes late. Always
Okay, so
at
she's
the
always late.
right.
I got
going to see a university for her next year. And you need to go half an hour at least ahead of time to find
That's
the
just
location.
that's not necessarily unusual. And let's face it, in your culture, being on time is not a high priority, is it?
Is not in high priority. You're saying at the time.
No, I'm just saying that my experience from being around Iranian people for the last 12 years is that being on time is not necessarily a high priority.
If it comes, it could be the cultural things for social life. If you go, maybe that's the case.
But things like going to work on time like
my
that.
personal life, because if I say I'm going to be there, I make sure I put the range time and I be there.
Good.
But
So you just need to be able to teach that to your daughter. It's not necessarily that she's a bad person or something like that. She lacks discipline, which is kind of for a 17-year-old of any culture, that's being to school on time is an issue, right?
Right, and when I talk to her, for sometimes she does for a short period of the time, but she's going to go back to her routine. And this is something, sometimes I'm thinking maybe because I am perfectionist, and I'll try to be, rid of that perfectionist and be, softener in my life. I enjoy my life on
Yes.
this. But I'm saying maybe it's my part. It's okay. She 2-3 minutes be late, but it's okay. But my concern is when the future she goes to university, how she is going to, get up on time, be on time for her classes.
I understand.
And
So look, I'm sorry to be short with you. It's just that they just gave me a signal that I'm almost out of time, and I want to be able to answer your question.
Sure.
Okay? So please excuse me, but I'm almost out of time. She doesn't see her own personal self-interest in this. When people see their own personal self-interest, then they take actions that are appropriate to that. You see, for her, arriving late, arriving on time, or arriving earlier, it's all kind of the same. There's no consequences. There's no interest in being on time. Do you understand? She hasn't seen any particular reward or penalty for either situation. They're kind of the same, okay?
Yes.
So, and as her mother, you have a job to do, and your job is to teach her to discipline herself, not to necessarily always be there to discipline her. Your concern is that someday she's going to go to university, you won't be there to discipline her, and so she won't have any self-discipline. That's true. Now, I have a stepson that I've raised, and he as long as he lived in my house, his room was a wreck, and I could never get him to clean it up, and it really made me mad because I'm a very neat person. I went over to his house one time after he moved out and got his own apartment and all that. The thing was perfect. It was clean. It was impeccable.
Yes.
And I learned something because it's his house. So he learned from me how to keep house, even though he wouldn't keep my house that way. Do you see?
Got it.
But when he moved into his own house, all of his credit card bills were paid on time. Everything's all neat in the closet. Everything's like all nice. So he did learn from me. Do you understand?
Yes.
He just wouldn't do it when I was around because I was always trying to make him do it, especially when he was 17. He was really a pain,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So trust that you have taught what she needs to learn,
Okay.
and then let her learn it on her own, okay? So I'm out of time and I got to go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. Thanks for your call. Bye-bye. All right, it's been a pleasure. Once again, my name is Gregory Morgan, and I'll see you tomorrow on Love Talk. Thank you.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store. A haven for the weary soul. A source of inspiration and community. Redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.